Well, hello. We need to talk about Gaza again. We seem to be talking about Gaza an awful lot, but it's so important. Israelis think that the original agreement with Hamas stated that all of the bodies would be returned within 40 days or whatever. It didn't. This is just like a footnote, but it's an important footnote because this is the excuse for the bombings. It did not say that. It said that there would be a mechanism for the return of bodies that could not be found because of there would be the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, were supposed to be at the core of handling the arrangement for the return of the bodies, and for goodness sake, that was agreed in writing because it was recognized from the outset that with the bombing on this scale, these bodies could not all be found instantly. And yet Israel is using this as an excuse. My goodness me. My goodness. The ceasefire is basically holding. Thank God. Basically, it's holding. You're getting calls for Israel by committees in the Israeli Knesset for the death penalty for terrorists. They mean terrorists, of course, Palestinian terrorists. Come on. Okay. Get the whole ethos of the state of Israel, but emotions are running that high. You can imagine, of course, if Hamas captured an Israeli soldier, are they going to execute him? You know, if you start using the death penalty, then what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So be careful. Not actually a very sensible idea, and much against the ideology on which the state of Israel was founded, which was respect for life. What is Israel still destroying 20 or 30 houses a day in Gaza? A day. But nonetheless, basically the ceasefire is holding. There's still 3 or 4 of these bodies which Hamas has no knowledge of the location of. That's very difficult, really, isn't it? This body business. Gosh, kill me, and well, of course, I'd like to be buried somewhere my children could put a flower on my grave, but I don't mind if it can't be. Well, hopefully you won't kill me, but anyway. Everybody's waiting for the second phase of this agreement now, the reopening of Rafah and the withdrawal of Israel's troops. And that's what we'd like to see. But, these homes are being destroyed still by Israel within what they call the yellow line. God knows what that means. You'd have to Google it. But anyway, will the U.S. twist the arms of Israel and persuade them to accept Turkish peacekeepers? I don't think so. I think that may be pushing it too far. I mean, you're aware that the Turks have offered to help with the peacekeeping in Gaza. Hamas disarm? I don't think so. It may give up some arms. Not easy, given the present situation. Will Israel accept a Palestinian Authority role in the governance of Gaza? I don't think so. The United States have sent 200 soldiers to oversee the ceasefire, I suppose. Yeah, they sent 200 soldiers to Israel. And of course, as you know, the US has drafted, with the help of United Kingdom and France, a resolution on the stabilization force. Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates and Indonesia have all offered to send troops. Of course, the Indonesians don't speak Arabic. I wish a European country had done so. Have we no chutzpah? Are we such moral cowards? I mean, Britain has a historic responsibility for Palestine. It was for goodness sake, why cannot we man up? What is our failing here? Why are we not offering? Moral cowards, aren't we? I don't know, or whatever. I mean, or just cowards. Like the Americans, they won't have troops involved in this. Leave it to the Arabs. You might say it's better. Well, J.D. Vance, the U.S. Vice President, says Israel has every right to veto who's in the task force, and of course it does. As long as it accepts the task force. There must be a task force. That's the underlying point. But, this hostages issue is important. Some hostages are actually in areas behind the yellow line. In other words, dead hostages I'm talking about, the bodies. In other words, the Hamas can't reach them, for goodness sake. And we have whatever happens with the stabilization force, the military mission must have clear parameters. If they're allowed to shoot Palestinians, then fine. If they're not allowed to shoot Palestinians, fine. Make up your minds, get it sorted, get it done, get it dusted, so that we have a stabilization force in Gaza that makes a difference. Israel's government is going to fall? No. Smotrich's party would only it wouldn't even get into the Knesset if there were an election tomorrow. So do you think anybody involved in Netanyahu's coalition is going to undermine his coalition? No. No, no, no. Which means that the current Israel government under Premier Netanyahu will last until October 2026. You may not feel that's very far away, but just don't expect a change tomorrow. Some people say the Palestinians can police themselves but cannot protect themselves. Don't expect the stabilization force to protect the Palestinians. That's why it would be so much better if there were Western troops in there. For instance, British troops in the stabilization force. Had we the chutzpah to... Keir Starmer won't man up. He's wet. But had we the strength, or even France, to put our own troops in there, then it would be more likely that the ceasefire would hold, and it would help protect the Palestinians in this situation. So we're going to have an interim authority of some kind. The Americans clearly want to stop the war. Be fair to Donald Trump on that score. Whatever his motives, he wants to stop the war. And that's a plus, isn't it? The Palestinians, they've been meeting in Cairo, they won't agree with each other about who is involved in the post-war governance of Gaza. So it's, they're a shower, really, aren't they? A reformed Palestinian Authority is required if the Palestinian Authority is to have a role, says Donald Trump. And I'm with him, to be honest. I don't want that old goat Abu Mazen running Gaza. Corruption on corruption on corruption. Okay, there are failures on Israel's side, and they are massive, but two wrongs don't make a right. You can't bring that man in, honestly. Trump and Mohammed bin Salman are about to meet, and everybody's putting a lot of importance on that. Mohammed bin Salman, the ruler of Saudi Arabia, well, he's not the king, but he's de facto king. But what will they be talking about? They'll be talking about investments in the gaming industry and so on. They're not going to be... Okay, as a footnote, they'll talk about Gaza. The Trump family is making a fortune out of Saudi Arabia. A fortune! That's why they care what the Saudis think. Yeah. However, the bombing continues, and for many Palestinians on the ground in Gaza, there is no hope. They have no dreams. The Palestinian elections could have been carried out before. Palestinian elections. Elections can be held. Of course, Abu Mazen makes excuses about that, says they can't be held in East Jerusalem. Of course they can. Israel. It's interesting because the whole business of Israel's elections, I mean, these elections issues are important. There's a Labour and Meretz, a kind of merging or to create an opposition coalition. Yeah, Naftali Bennett is a losing card. He's finished. Yair Lapid is important again. Israeli politics. Benny Gantz, his party has fallen so low in the polls that he's no longer a force. He was the main figure in the opposition. So, and if we had a joint Arab list, it would be helpful. We had a joint Arab list in 2015 that won 15 seats in the Knesset. I said Naftali Bennett was a losing card. He's not a losing card. He's a leading card. Let's face it, really. He's still in play. Bennett and Lapid, they want a 61-seat majority without the Arab parties. Nah. Well, yes, let's hope for it. But if they need the Arab parties, take the Arab parties in order to govern. Well, we're talking about October 2026. Why should I? Look, you may find this all very confusing and very exhausting, as do many Gazans. This whole discussion of what will happen with Palestinian elections, what will happen with the interim government of Gaza, what will happen with this, what will happen with that. Let me tell you one thing clearly. I speak to my friends in Gaza, and they don't care about the Palestinian elections. They don't care about Israel's elections. They don't care about the interim governance of Gaza. They have 3 priorities. They have suffered. They care about 3 things. Only 3 things. Forget the rest. 3 things. 1. An end to the war. 2. Reopen the Rafah crossing. 3. Start reconstruction. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's all they care about. End the war. Reopen Rafah. Start reconstruction. Enough. The rest, UN resolutions, all the rest of the drivel is window dressing. Just do that. End the war, reopen Rafah, start reconstruction. They don't want anything more. That's it. That's what Gaza wants. And that's what you should fight for. And so should I. In the name of God. God bless you all. Thank you.